think this is one of the big questions that a lot of people are asking, which is how long can Iran fight for in this war? And what does that fight look like? Here in these jars, you have, I think it's the relative amount of soldiers that each country has. Now, obviously, soldiers are goes back to what Obama said about horses and bayonets. They're one form of combat. But I was quite surprised at how big Iran's military is relative to even the US, but other countries in the region. I think they have the biggest military in the region. Is that correct?
So we have to separate between the IRGC and the National Army. They serve two different functions.
What are those two things?
The IRGC, which Annie brought up earlier, so the I stands for Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, not Iranian. What does that mean? It's protecting the Islamic Revolution. It is an ideological army that sits outside of the main structures of power, accountable only to the supreme leader. The National Army really goes through the office of the presidency and others, and even though the supreme leader has a say in it, but the army's job is to protect Iran's borders. Mm-hmm. The IRGC's job is to protect the revolution and the ideology and the proxies and everything else that we have come to know about Iran. So if we look at what's in the jar, we have to separate what the National Army, which is only its job is to defend the borders, versus the ideological army. Mm-hmm. I'm curious what that would look like if we took out the National Army and are left with the ideological force.
Iran have the largest stockpile in the Middle East of missiles, drones, and air defenses, possessing thousands of ballistic cruise missiles and kamikaze drones. This is their primary offensive strength. And they have quite a significant defense budget as well. I guess the question I'm trying to get at is how long can they fight for? And how does that fight look over time? Because I know they shot hundreds and hundreds of ballistic missiles over the weekend.
Yeah. Israel claims that in the June war of last year, it eliminated about half of what it believes Iran's stockpiles, but also batteries, launchers, basically capability. So if whatever it was, let's say they have half of that left. I've seen a statistic saying that really they can't go at this rate, Iran, for more than 2 to 3 weeks before they're completely depleted.
Well, there's also an interesting move that the United States did. While we didn't kill the supreme leader, what we did do was send our B-2s to take out underground missile systems, which Iran has.
Which are the aircrafts, right?
No, they're underground. They actually call them missile cities.
The B-2s. Yeah, the B-2s are the bombers.
Yes, they came from the United States. And this is considerable damage because the two ways in which these sort of rogue nations, whether it's North Korea or Iran, work their missiles is they have them on what are called road mobile launchers so that they cannot be tracked and targeted, or they bury them deeply underground. And one of the only things that can take out those deeply buried missile sites is a B-2, and that's what the United States sent.
So Andrew, how do you think this plays out over the coming weeks and months? Because at some point, they might run out of missiles, but that doesn't necessarily mean the war is over. Yeah. I'm presuming that the US don't want to throw soldiers on the ground in Iran either. So how does this play out, and how long?
And that's one of the major strategic errors that we made in attacking Iran. They have the benefit of time, not us. They can choose how to react, when to react, in what way to react. We don't know if they have a dirty bomb that they're finishing up in some underground bunker right now that's just going to sit there and wait until American boots on the ground show up. The fact that you guys think that current nuclear deployments have nothing to do with what's going on in Iran, I want to respect that opinion.